now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMorrowRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
With ease. Sign up for online banking today and download our new mobile app available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
106.1 Kiss FM.
Google traffic.
Hey, say good morning to the motoring community, and with rainfall on the road, slippery conditions out there, so we're advising you to stay at least 3 car lengths of vehicle in front of you in the event of a sudden stop, and keep your wipers on for good visibility. 31 minutes, that's your travel time from Bordentown towards Central Georgetown, with heavy delays dropping right in Red Bay down towards the airport runway turn, and as you slide along the Lidford Pearson bypass across Agnes Way and from Fairbanks all the way up towards the Cayman National Roundabout. Over on Walker's and Smith Road, school buses making their respective stops, slowing things down as you head up towards Louise Loudon Way. Usual line open 623-4444.
The MS Real-Time Traffic is brought to you by the 2021 Creta. With its new styling, it's not only better, it's better than better. It's better up.
Prestige has your Hyundai. Drive it home today.
Big news. I have some important
Clean up my
news for you.
lipstick this morning.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
We are good.
Fantastic.
It's happening on a rainy Tuesday.
Truthful Tuesday.
Truthful Tuesday.
This weather is rainy.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
mind
adjusting.
rainy weather if I can stay inside, but once you got to be out and about, it's kind of like, ugh.
Wow, and it's you're taking your life in your own hands, being out there on the roads.
No kidding.
Ugh.
Any day.
We're all not made of sugar, though. I know some like to think they are. We won't melt. We will not melt, people.
Oh.
Our skin is waterproof.
Are you sure, Blake? I could have sworn I was made of sugar and spice and everything nice.
That's little girls for sure.
Some may
Somebody
disagree
told me
with
that.
statement.
Yeah.
Some may disagree with that statement. What you got? What you got for us today?
We're still waiting on COVID numbers. I know a lot of people are getting very, very antsy about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to reassure people there's no conspiracy going on. I've seen people commenting on social media. What does this mean? It just means that they have been really busy and that they're actually redoing. This is not something that they necessarily made public, but I think they shared it to the media, but none of us have really said anything about it. That they are redoing the reporting protocols. Now, what that means exactly, we don't know. I think it could mean that they're not going to be reporting every single day. And so they will now.
I heard, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry?
That's what I heard. They're not going to do it every day.
Yeah. And that makes sense because I think
it's going to be
the
a weekly thing from moving forward.
the way that the numbers are going to be.
Scare everyone.
2,000.
Culminating all on one. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Well, whatever they got to do. I mean, I know they're overwhelmed right now.
When's the last time we got numbers?
Thursday.
Oh, last Thursday.
So.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully.
We're working on a week.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So people are definitely feeling they're long overdue for some numbers, which is fine. And we should hopefully get those today.
All right. I have something.
Yes.
Both my my mother-in-law and my husband are covered. Well, yes, in maiden plum. Anyway, do you know what that bush is? The maiden plum?
Oh, that's not nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I don't know. Anybody have any suggestions for home remedies that actually work?
Wow. How did that happen?
Oh, let me explain it to you. Let me explain how this happened.
It's not illegal.
Aaron, when people do family outings, some people go to the park. Some people go to, museums. Aaron's family, they go out and they steal plants for their
There was a plant out by Barefoot Beach. There's a lot of spider lilies, and so we wanted some. There was a ton of them, so we took some spider lilies. And to get through, there's right when you go, Barefoot Beach, right there where it's the big wall, and then the stairs that would go into the ocean. But you know what I'm talking about?
Aaron was picking.
Yeah.
I didn't go and do it, but I never went in that area because I was walking around with the kids because there is a trail that you can go. I mean, it's still overgrown. Now I know what maiden plum looks like. I never got it on me. The kids didn't. It's just my husband and my mother-in-law. And I mean, when I say this is probably the worst thing that you could ever get, because you sweat a little bit. And if you touch another part of your body, then you break out there.
Oh my God.
It is so bad.
So that was Mother Nature going,
What?
Don't take my
They'll
spider
grow
lilies.
Again. It's not a big deal. And now we're trying to, you want to have more like.
Actually, I don't know what maiden plum is. Is that?
So it's kind of like a jaggedy leaf. Have you ever had this happen to you? Anybody out there?
Maiden plum?
Yeah. Have you ever ran into
Thankfully
it?
not.
Is it like poison ivy? Is that what it is?
I think it's probably maybe somewhat
Poison
similar.
oak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So if anyone has any suggestions, it's like they're on my. So my husband's
Is it
on.
itchy?
Yeah, no, it's like burning. It's
So
and
I'm
there's
just having a quick look online, and they say apply acidic fruit juice, lemon and lime directly to the skin as soon as possible after contact.
too late.
So
Take a bath in it.
yes, I mean, yeah.
Maybe I'll go and get some like Epsom
But
salt.
I think medical attention would be warranted.
Oh no, no,
Like,
they went to the doctor. They have cream and all that stuff. But the problem is, it just and so also their
So have you
cortisone
gotten it?
steroid. No, I didn't get it. And no, Dion's not even sleeping. He's sleeping in the spare room. Like barely can touch the kids.
He's
Oh, no,
contagious.
it's bad. Yeah, it's
Oh,
bad.
wow.
Yeah, no, and I'm like, it's painful. They're up all night trying to like ice everything. Yeah.
Oh my
sounds
gosh.
terrible.
Anyway, so
Horrible.
everybody out there, here's a PSA after my 11 years on island of not knowing that this thing existed.
Maiden plum.
If you like to go for hikes out in the wilderness, not even the wilderness, this is actually, it's, you know, that brick road that's out there by, it's like, it's a walkway. However, it's like undeveloped. So you can drive to it and just walk over and you see the whole ocean. You're up on a higher, part of the island.
Huh.
Anyway, so just look out for things that,
I would imagine not everybody
spiky
is allergic
leaves.
to it, but
no, so what it does is it like secretes a gas and you can smell it as well. But like
so it has fruits. Can you eat the fruits? Or are they poisonous?
I don't think it has fruit, does
Has
it? I don't
plum.
know. Okay, well, I mean, I wouldn't touch it after seeing what it's done.
Maiden plum?
Yeah.
It's not a tree like a plum tree or anything. It's
like
just
a bush.
They just call it maiden plum.
I see. Well, I looked it up
One of
online.
the few dangerous plants apparently in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, but no,
Not
it's
to be confused with cow itch, because that's something different.
no, exactly. But no, it part of the gas or whatever, or part of the sap touched my mother-in-law's arm, and she had a black dot. It's like technically a burn.
Wow.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you gotta be careful there, Aaron, when you're exploring. You're not quite Dora the Explorer.
I didn't. Yes. I'm
Exploring is a nice word to use.
Susie spider plant taker.
Exploring.
just
Anything else
going to look at
going on,
stuff.
Sandy?
Oh yes, there we go. Thank you to Blake's wife Jamie, who's sending me.
She said she's had it 12 million times in her life.
Oh my gosh.
Born and raised in
I was
Cayman.
gonna say I knew that she would know what it was. Cool. Thanks for the suggestions, y'all. We'll see. I'm just lucky I didn't. Yeah, I mean it looks
So.
painful.
And other non-maiden plum news this morning. Remember the lady who came in from Jamaica and she came in with a positive PCR test? She has now been charged.
Oh, wow.
So what's the charge exactly?
The charge is failure to comply with regulation 31BI of the COVID control of COVID-19 number 2 regulations 2021.
Okay.
And number 3, failing to use your brain.
Yeah. So, there's still so many questions about that. I think she appeared in court, I guess, yesterday because she was formally charged. Oh, no, she's there this morning. I will be there. I was hoping it wasn't yesterday.
Okay. Good. I was going to say, were you there yesterday? Did someone run out of the courtroom in handcuffs?
That was last week.
Oh, that was last week. Okay.
Wait, what's
I just read this story.
You tried to go on the lam?
Yes.
In handcuffs?
Yeah, he seems to run a lot. So I don't know if you guys remember this case. This was another COVID case, actually. He's the young man who got out of quarantine twice. Once from his house by scaling the wall. And the first time was from a government quarantine facility. And then they decided to, allow him to quarantine at home with the rest of the family and whatever. And he scaled from the second story down to the first story and escaped, basically, with a security guard placed at his house, which is still amazing. And then remember his little sister did the whole TikTok thing where she's like, he's going to get in trouble. He's going to jail. Well, apparently he was in court on, was it Friday or Thursday of last week? And he's got some other things like obstructing police and other offenses and stuff. I think he's also in traffic court. But anyway, yeah, he decided to make a run for it whilst in handcuffs. Now, he's really ambitious. So he took off down the street and it caused a big commotion at court. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So he was headed.
How did he get out of the courtroom, then out of the front past all the security guards? Or wait, oh
dude
no,
is
this is not
just
this is not that
Oh,
courthouse.
what are you
though, right?
running
It's a
from?
different
It's not like,
Going to
it's not like
courthouse.
Okay.
he's going away to prison for the rest of his life, and this is his only chance. Like,
Yeah, it's a little bit weird
a
why he
misdemeanor
keeps
charge.
running.
I mean, it's gonna
I
be
mean, now
worse.
now you're
Now you're making
now you're
it.
evading and eluding police.
Yeah, you're just adding more time to your sentence.
Yeah, it is a little bit crazy, to be honest. I don't know why he keeps running. It's something about him and running. Maybe he should have been a track
And then
star
running and running.
in
Yeah,
a
I don't know.
previous life. I don't know.
Hmm.
But
So what are the
COVID,
what is the what is the conviction? What are they facing if they're convicted?
most are some sort of a fine, although we've never had anyone show up with a positive COVID result. So this will be an interesting case because it's really a first. And I think there's a lot of questions about how it happened. So there are people who wonder if there was some sort of partner in crime who permitted her to get through checkpoints,
Mm-hmm.
or if staff were just that slack or complacent or whatever the word is that we want to use. No one else has obviously been arrested or fired in relation to this. So it looks like staff were just making mistakes, because it was only once she landed in Cayman that she was coming through CBC that the CBC officer actually picked up on it.
Wow.
So, yeah, a little bit crazy.
Yeah, there hasn't been any. I don't think in any of the summons or the tickets that people have gotten that there has been any sort of prison time given. Am I
Well,
right?
there have been. So remember the director, but
Yeah.
these were more like breaches of quarantine.
Hmm.
So remember the director who breached quarantine? He was
Well, he was playing in the pool, right? Took his
yes,
band off.
with
Yeah.
with the
Mhm.
nanny and whatever. So he did go to jail.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he appealed it, and the judge said, "Nope, you're going to stay right where you are."
Wow.
So yeah, and the nanny ran away because she was going to be next, and she took off and left the jurisdiction.
Really?
And then in court, his lawyer was arguing an appeal that the wife can't take care of the children without the nanny, basically. And so that would be one of the hardships that they're now facing, in financial hardship. And I think the film crew that he was on actually ended up firing him as a
Mm.
result of the situation, and because he was sitting in jail and probably couldn't do his job. So yeah, he was in jail as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the penalties are there where you can definitely go to jail. I
You
think
all
they
learned
will
today.
often depend on the circumstances. Of course, we remember our little friend Skylar
Mm-hmm.
going to jail. So COVID deaths have now surpassed 5 million worldwide. And they're saying it's definitely more than 5 million, but it's definitely 5 million in less than 2 years.
It's a lot of
And the
people.
interesting thing about this report is that nearly half of all of those deaths are from what are considered wealthier countries that make up 1/8 of the world's population. So COVID has not spared anyone.
Yeah.
I think we all know probably now somebody that has been really sick from it and that has passed away from it. I know I have.
I know. Yeah, I know. Too.
Um,
I know people that have passed
Yeah,
away.
you know what? I think in Cayman, there are a lot of people who still don't know anyone who's died from it, or even who's been really sick. That's the bubble that we've been living in. Because I've known people who've gotten it, like friends, and we had a cousin in California, but I don't know of anyone that I can think of, like I really knew, that died from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of us are still in a bubble.
Our CEO's father died from it.
One of my best friends, her father died in.
Oh, that's right. I did know that actually, but not like I knew him.
Right.
So
I've had some
I'm thinking of someone that I
colleagues-
knew personally.
Some colleagues in the radio industry.
No.
I know.
You're very lucky if you don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because everyone, most people do. And I think a lot of the statistics obviously are underreported because they just don't know in some of these other countries where they're not really reporting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We just need to get the vaccine out to as many people as possible. And I think a lot of people are finally trying to, I know Prince Harry and Meghan are trying to, help facilitate and make awareness about getting vaccines to other parts of the world. So
Vaccination clinic open again today on Tuesday at Lion Center. I believe it opens at 11 today. Am I right?
when
Yeah,
are they
folks,
going to
go
move the
and,
boosters down though? When are the boosters
Take
going to
the
be for?
opportunity to
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know.
definitely take the opportunity to get vaccinated. We've been so fortunate. DVDL, I had a closure yesterday.
That's right.
for an unknown period of time because of a COVID infection. So they're doing what they need to do in their facility.
Okay.
And there was a lot of numbers. Like we're kind of, we're waiting on the official numbers, which I think will be well over 200 for the days that they're going to be covering. But, we are reporting the numbers as we find out. So Little Trotters had like 15 positives at one school, which to me is crazy. But yeah, it is what it is. I think we just need to normalize the reporting process. So we're not getting too excited about the actual numbers of COVID positive people. I think the great thing is it's good that there are only 4 people in the hospital, we think.
Right.
So that's a bit of good news. And I think that's the number that the officials are watching, the hospitalization numbers.
Right.
When they start to increase, then they worry.
I think that's the important part.
Although those are from the numbers we've had last Thursday. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. All right, Sandy.
Absolutely.
Have
a good one, guys.
On Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, Doctors Hospital been.
So, folks, good morning, and thank you guys for joining us. We got 235 people online. Let's see who we got here. We got Diamond Princess, Marshall, Miss Evelyn is here. Wee, Siobhan, good morning, Richie. Miss Joy is here. Ernesto, how are you? I know, where have you been? I was actually talking about you the other day, Ernesto. As a matter of fact, last week, Tuesday, big shout out to Alan. I know Alan is watching this morning. He says he watches pretty much every day. And I was telling Alan about these. I was telling him how great the Filipino community is here because Alan is actually Filipino, but he's from the US. So I don't think he is necessarily like entrenched in the Filipino community. But I was saying to him, I said, oh my gosh, they invite me to all their festivals and, events and everything. And I was saying to him, the winner of this song contest last year at the oh gosh, I can never pronounce the name, the Bakayalan Festival was none other than you. And I was telling him, Ernesto, your song that you performed and how everybody loved it and you were a crowd favorite and the whole 9 yards. And he's like, really? And I said, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, Ernesto is like the best. So it's so funny that I haven't seen you in a while, and I just talked about you last week, Tuesday, exactly a week from today, and here you are. So Ernesto, thank you. I don't know, where are you back in the Philippines? What have you been up to? Miranda's back on Facebook. How did you get back on Facebook, Miranda? Chantal is here. Dorothy, good morning. Larry's joining us from New York. What's the weather like? I feel like a cold front is out there somewhere based on what I see outside. We just get the cloudiness and not much of a cold front. It's so muggy and hot here. But are you guys having a cold front in the States? Good morning, Jarover. Olivia, good morning. Suzette. If it get in your eyes, it's bad. Ooh, can Maiden Plum get in your eyes? I guess if you have it on your hands and you rub your eyes, ooh, that must be the worst. How do you get it out? Oh my God, itchy eyes. Oh, I can't even imagine. Seriously. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I hate, a couple of times I've had allergic reactions to stuff, and sometimes I don't even know what's causing the reaction. I don't know if you guys have had that before. But a couple of years ago, I was in Jamaica, I traveled. And I think whatever it was that happened in Cayman, but when I got there, I started to feel the reactions of it, like it was in my system. And oh my gosh, I was so itchy and I just couldn't figure it out. I had to go to the pharmacist in Jamaica and they were like, drink lots of fluids because whatever this toxin is that's in your system, you've got to flush it out. So drink lots of fluids. And they gave me some antihistamine and some topical stuff, but it was just like, I had it for like 2 weeks. It was crazy. Thank you, Damaris, watching us from New York. Yeah, Suzette, he is a runner. And I feel kind of sorry for this kid because I do feel like there is something else going on. in his life. That's a little bit crazy. So, good morning, Sue. Suzette says complacent. She wouldn't know who would be working. Well, I mean, hopefully not, right? We hope that our own Cayman Airways staff. But remember now, this is on the Jamaican side. So I think they have people in Jamaica. So it's possible she might know people in Jamaica and know their schedule. That's like Miami. If I want to know who's in Miami working at the counter, and any given day, I can message them and say, hey, you working on Tuesday next week? And they would tell me yeah or no. So not necessarily, Suzette. The world is kind of small. And I feel like we probably all know ticket agents and stuff like that. So I thought that they were checking it at multiple checkpoints. So I thought the counter staff with Cayman Airways would have checked it and then allowed them through. And then I also thought that as they got on the plane, that whoever the stewardess would be would also have checked it. And that's where I'm a little bit confused about how this happened. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Miss Louisa. Louis is saying that it's 39 degrees. Whoa, that's turtleneck weather. Do people still wear turtlenecks? Is that still a thing? I'm not really sure, but it was when I was in university many moons ago. And I love me a good turtleneck, honey child. Keeps you nice and toasty. And I always thought they were so incredibly fashionable. Here's a picture from Louis of what the weather is looking like in Detroit this morning. Fall weather on the way. I mean, folks, Christmas is right around the corner. So make sure you get ready for that. Yeah, awesome. Good stuff. Beautiful, actually. I love to see the changing of the colors when the weather starts to change. Really, really gorgeous. Thank you, Louis, for always being willing to share your pictures. Miss Carol says, well, that's because of the midterm break camps. Wait until all the Halloween parties and trick-or-treaters come in a couple of weeks. Were there a lot of Halloween parties, Carol? I would have thought people would have known better, but maybe not. Miss Laura joining us from Jamaica. Thank you so much. Louis had some cassava cake for his birthday. So he said, I'm good until the borders open. Good morning, Tommy. Krista is here. Beautiful Krista. Good morning. From Eating Clean. Krista, we got to have you in the program again soon. Alice is here. Good morning, Miss Brenda. She says the agents in Jamaica need to be accountable for this incident. That's not complacency. Cal now has a new board, and I hope they'll deal with this appropriately. Well, I don't know if they can prove anything is the problem. I mean, maybe they suspect it, but proving it might be a very different situation. I don't know. But at the very least, if it was a mistake, it's the kind of mistake that, shouldn't be made. So now I know that they've quadrupled up on who's checking these things so that it doesn't happen again. And remember, that was another story that CMR broke before anybody else. And I was shocked. Amaria, good morning. Good morning, Miranda. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Scott. So FYI, yesterday, we spent the entire show talking about that situation, which ironically, I didn't actually intend to do, but, the conversation took on a life of its own about prep and just expanding the conversation into some broader things. And I must say that I had some very, very interesting people reach out to me as a result of, the conversation. I was in the grocery store. I went to Hurley's grocery store yesterday, and I had someone reach out and say, Sandy, thank you so much for having that conversation. It's something that we needed to have. I have had students reach out claiming that they can now not use their phones, which I was like, what's the issue with that one? I'm not so sure that I'm sympathetic towards them, to be honest. I don't think there's normally a need for phones in schools. And they tend to be a distraction. And obviously situations like what happened took place where, they're sending out videos or pictures and saying stuff that isn't necessarily accurate, or they can use that to record and potentially even bully their classmates, which is not cool. So I guess prep is really upset about what transpired, and I think that's right. And there's a hunt for who the person is. So I've had parents message me on Facebook asking me to divulge who released information. Now, you guys know I have to live and die by the fact that my sources are confidential. So I do not divulge my sources. There's only one exception that I can think of, and I can't tell you guys what that is at the moment because it is a criminal situation. But I would say that, the golden rule is I live by my sources. Now let's listen to what this person had to say. After I put up the comment from, I'm assuming it's a teenager at the school. That's what they claimed. I mean, who knows? You can't really tell who these people are, especially when they're messaging you from accounts that don't actually exist. But a parent whose children are now, adults, sent me this message, and she says, "Hi, Sandra. Both my children went to prep from kindergarten. The day before my son was going into his A-level year and school fees were paid, we were called in and told that there was not a place for him. We found out later that he was replaced by a student who was a new lawyer from Walker's." So like the child of a lawyer, basically. Disgraceful. And I'm like, what? And I said, yeah, I mean, obviously they seem to get some sort of preference. I don't know what it is. And they said, oh, for sure, your show yesterday really showed what prep is. Keep up your good work. CMR really contributes to Cayman. And I said, thanks. Again, not a conversation that anybody really wants to have, but sometimes you've got to have the difficult conversations. And, this is something that parents have said that prep has told them. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I haven't been told this firsthand, but it seems to be fairly common knowledge that people at Walker's are somehow reserving space in some way. Good morning, Celine. Good morning to Daisy. Emma, good morning. So good to see you. Ling Ling is here. So nice to see you. Ling Lin, welcome home. What a trial and tribulation that was, but welcome home. Boy, Ling Ling was in a pickle this time last week, stuck in Miami, couldn't get home. But as we say, all is well that ends well. Took some phone calls and some beating of my head against the wall, and we eventually got it sorted. Larry says it's 50 degrees in the Bronx, but feels like 40. That wind chill factor makes a huge difference. And Miss Brenda says she got in a plane. What more proof do you want or need? The situation in Jamaica at the counter is unacceptable, even before Corona. Well, this is what I hear. And good morning to Rick. I don't actually have any firsthand knowledge of it because when I go to Jamaica, obviously I don't know anybody who's there. So, I mean, I have wondered. I mean, Miss Brenda is only wondering what I guess a lot of people are wondering, which is how did this actually happen? There was a time with Cayman Airways when I used to see, even coming from Miami. When I first moved back to Cayman, I used to go back and forth a lot to the States. Now, I lived in Tampa, which is very different. Well, it used to be. I haven't lived there in a very long time, but it used to be very, very different from Miami. And I actually do not really like Miami a whole lot as a city compared to Tampa and other cities. And even traveling to Miami to me is just like, I'm just traveling for business to get stuff done, shopping in and out, and I'm done. Not a whole lot of enjoyment in Miami for me, but I tell you what, as I went back and forth, you get to know all the ticket agents and stuff in Miami. And I used to see, this is way back in the day. They've certainly tightened up ship in more recent times. But, people, especially this is way before you had to pay for baggage and whatever. But, when you had excess baggage, you had to pay for it. And child, I was always like over excess, everything. Because the whole reason I was going was to bring back stuff. And so a lot of times I would see people who were bringing back, I mean, an exorbitant amount of items, and they would just take something out of their pocket, a couple dollars, hand it to the ticket counter agent, and they would, get something under the table. So they would be able to put through 10 bags and maybe only pay for like 3 or 4 or whatever. And a lot of that used to happen back in the day. So my point is, I suppose anything is possible at any of the ticket counters. Now, I know that has tightened up, especially since Cayman Airways. Even before they started charging, though, they started to get really tight. Like they were double checking to make sure that if you had 3 baggages, that there was a receipt attached to 3 suitcases and that sort of thing, right? So, yeah. And I've known people who've actually gotten fired, believe it or not, for doing that at Cayman Airways counter. So yeah, they toughened up and they fired staff for those types of shenanigans, taking money from people and pocketing it instead of giving it to Cayman Airways, because Cayman Airways needs all the money they can get. And it's just not fair, right? It's not fair that 1 or 2 people get the benefit of knowing someone at the ticket counter and other people don't. And we all contribute to the national airline. And let's be honest, Cayman Airways has always been on the in the red, so to speak. We subsidize Cayman Airways heavily as a people and as a government, and that's our money and that's our airline. But there's such a sense of national pride to have a turtle. Well, we know turtles don't really fly, but to have a turtle in the air for us is such a sense of national pride. And there have been times when you could see the argument, like during Hurricane Ivan, the benefit of having a national airline and not having to rely on other external entities to fly in and out, even during COVID. I mean, let's be honest, we'd be in a very challenging situation with repatriation flights and so on if we did, because at some level we've always had, I mean, the borders have been technically closed to commercial flights, but we've always had some level of in and out, and there were people who were able to come under certain circumstances to return and people who could leave. And by and large, Cayman Airways has been facilitating the transport of those individuals, except for the BA flight. Obviously, the BA flight has been permitted to come in as well. So yes, Ling Ling, I'm so glad that you're home and you're safe in quarantine. I hope that everything is going well with you. Kevin, good morning to you. He says, have a terrific Tuesday. Thank you so much. Hero Blair is here. Good morning. So nice to see you. Rick says, why are they requiring QR codes for vaccinated Americans when the majority of states in the US don't have a QR code or digital tracking, just a vaccination card? So I think what is happening, Rick, is the situation is in flux and it is changing. So my understanding is, and this is just as of, Shad, can I tell you guys something? I don't know. Last night was a bit of a rough night. I was up at all hours. So I was actually up at 4:27 messaging people. I did not sleep very well last night. I wouldn't have gone to bed until 1 o'clock, and then I was up at like 4:27. Couldn't sleep. And the worst thing to do when you cannot sleep is to pick up your phone, because then you're like, oh, this person messaged, and oh, this person messaged. And I'm surprised who else was up at 4:30 in the morning. Big shout out to David Ebanks from Prodigy Jewelers. He apparently was up at 4:30 in the morning too. I'm just like, maybe he went to bed at 9 though. That's my problem, is I'm not going to bed early, but I'm still kind of getting up early-ish. So I'm going to have to take a nap later on today. But yeah, I was messaging someone in the government as well, who was also up at 2:44 a.m. And then I messaged, and they said that we have outlined that there will be a different approach as of the 20th. There'll be a portal where a visitor's vaccine documents can be uploaded and verified by CBC, and they will then issue a travel authorization. So I think the regulations will allow for, Rick, to answer your question, verification documents, or vaccinated documents, my apologies, to be uploaded, and then they will be verified. So the QR code will not be as strict as what it is now. Good morning to Alice. Miss Sue is here. She says that she thinks the lady knew somebody at the JA counter. Anything's possible. Maria said that could be very dangerous, the pilot not knowing the actual plane load. Well, I think that the bags are still weighed. Obviously, they still have to weigh them, and they have to know, how many bags are going, whatever. What they were doing was they simply were not paying the fee to Cayman Airways. They were paying, because remember now, Cayman Airways used to do it by, I forget what the formula was that they used, but the fee could really rack up for a couple extra pieces, right? So people were either underpaying for some of their bags or not paying for excess weight or baggage and giving the money to the person at the counter. So I don't think that they were being dishonest about the weight, because that could be very dangerous, actually. So I think they were weighing it. They were saying, yes, this person has 5 bags and it weighs whatever. But what they weren't doing is they weren't actually charging them. And at some point, Cayman Airways must have had a very different system where maybe the computer that did the weight and the number of bags wasn't really talking to like the invoicing and money side of things. But over the years, they've definitely rectified that. So Sue says, great Cayman Airways staff in Miami back in the day. They still have some great staff left, by the way. And do you guys ever remember? I remember when I was a kid and I used to travel. For me, traveling has changed over the years big time. But I always thought being a stewardess on a plane was such a noble profession. I don't know why. But back in the day, they were this would have been like the 80s and 90s, I guess, when I was, younger. I would like be in awe of them. Like when I got on the plane, like I really paid attention to, I was still living in the States. So the couple of times that I came back during that tenure, I would sit there and I'd be enamored with the Cayman Airways flight attendants. They all were so beautiful. They were so well put together. There was this one lady, I think she might have been from the UK. She was a tall, blondish looking lady. I always used to remember that she was just so just elegant in her appearance. Everything was always perfect. Her makeup, her clothing, everything was perfect. And, there's a couple of them over the years. I used to be like, wow, these people are just amazing. And I used to pay attention to every word. And, they'd bring the little cart and ask you what you wanted to drink. And you could, back in the day when you could get a pillow, who remembers? You could get a pillow and you could get a blanket. That disappeared with the N1. What was it? The N1, what's it called? The N1, whatever one, N1, F1. No, what is that flu virus? Remember when that went around? That's when they stopped allowing you to have the N1. Oh, what is that flu called? It was the chicken flu. It was just the N1 flu virus. Wasn't there another number added onto it? H1N1. Back in 2009, the spring of 2009, this was a novel influenza virus that emerged in the US. And boy, that was kind of crazy. But that's when Cayman Airways stopped giving you pillows and they stopped giving you blankets. And I was like, I always needed a blanket because I'm always so cold. Like I feel like they keep the planes very, very cold. And I'm always freezing on Cayman Airways flights in particular. And so after they stopped giving out blankets, I always had my little travel bag, like my little travel backpack that included a shawl and my own pillow, my own neck pillow and stuff like that. But I used to think they were like the most amazing people. So Brenda reminds us that these agents are Cayman Airways employees. They work for an agency. I've had firsthand experience with them. And I even wrote to Cayman Airways once, really. I said, Cal needs to reassess that arrangement and don't represent our airline in any way except negatively. They don't. Bad and poor service, and they're still getting paid. Ooh, not good. Yes, and I've always kind of wondered, I know in Miami it was easier to find Caymanians because my girlfriend actually used to work at the ticket counter when she was in university. Big shout out to Melanie Sims. And I used to, a couple times when I was working in my master's, I would go and stay with Melanie in Miami. And, she again, took pride in her uniform, and she'd put on her little Cayman Airways outfit and fix her makeup and hair, and she'd be there working that counter between classes. But I do think that it's always good to have, staff available when you can. to be Caymanians for your national airline. But I do think that sometimes you have to use an agent. It's like here, Miss Marva is an agent for, what company does Miss Marva work for again? Delta? She's the country manager, I think, for Delta. So sometimes that happens in other countries. You can't necessarily send, it's probably a little bit more challenging to find Caymanians who want to live in Jamaica just to work a ticket counter job. I don't know that would be the thing, but we have a few in Miami over the years that have been Caymanians. So Miss Marilyn Phillips is still there. And who else is Caymanian at the counter? We used to have a MacField. What was her first name again? I can't remember. But we've had a few. And then, of course, we've had non-Caymanians. There was Jose, who was there for many, many years, a Spanish guy. And then there was a Spanish lady there. I can't ever remember her name, but she was always super nice to me. And I remember when I had the baby, she's like, oh, can I see the pictures? And she was always really, really nice. Blair says Cayman Airways went in the air. We had a competition to name that turtle. Does anybody remember the name? Before Cayman Airways went in the air, we had a competition to name the turtle. Oh, you did? But isn't it Sir Turtle? That was before my time, child. Cayman Airways has been around for, 45 years now? And that's right on age with me. I was too young to have remembered any of that. I think Cayman Airways, is it 45 years now? Or a little bit over 45 years old. I'll have to double check. By the way, Irvelyn, can I ask you to keep a track of the time for me? Because I've got court this morning. Me and Dr. Frank will be in court at 9:30 before Justice Ramsey. And so I've got to leave here like 9 o'clock so that I can get there in time. So somebody keep an eye on the time, because sometimes, you start yakety yakking and the time slips away. So Anna wants to know how many people are affected now in Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. So Anna, unofficially, because remember now, we don't have any official numbers yet. Unofficially, I heard that the Brac has, I think, 60 or 70 cases. So again, we're waiting on the numbers. And Little Cayman, well, I haven't really heard much about Little Cayman, so I only know the 4 in Little Cayman. I don't know if that has expanded at all. So Miss Sue said both of her daughters worked as flight attendants at Cayman Airways. Good morning to Carrie. How are you? Yes, the H1N1. I just couldn't remember the H1 part. I was like, I know N1 is in that name. Miss Darlene, joining us in the UK, said that blonde lady may have been Lori. She was a sweetheart. I think that's her name. Where is she? Does she still live in Cayman? Or? But I always thought she was so elegant. And you know what else? This is going to sound really weird. But, as a kid, your perception of the world and of different things is like so different. She used to wear, I remember, an absolutely beautiful pendant. Back in the 80s and 90s, I felt like every single Caymanian had a coin pendant. This was like a thing. And or black coral. Remember when black coral jewelry? Does anybody still have any black coral jewelry? I don't see anybody wearing it, but black coral was like a big deal. And so, I always would look at having lived in the States where like wearing coin and that type of jewelry really isn't that much of a thing. I would always look at it and think, oh, this is really cool. And I remember she had a gorgeous pendant. Now, some of them you could tell were like worth a pretty penny, like the diamonds and the emeralds around the coin. And I mean, just absolutely gorgeous, right? And she had one of those pieces. I don't know why it stood out. I just got word from Cayman Airways. Cayman Airways has been around for 53 years now. So definitely older than me, child. So I don't remember the name of that. Does anybody remember? So somebody says that's my cousin Lori. Yeah, she still works for Cayman Airways. I haven't seen her in years. I don't know if we're still talking about the same person. We might be, I'm not sure. But she had short hair. I remember her having very, very short hair. I thought she was British for some reason. Maybe as a kid, my memory was just a little bit off, but she was absolutely gorgeous. Somebody's saying maybe it's Lori Fink. I don't know. I have no idea what her name is. She had short hair. Always looked amazing. All I know is she had short hair. Her makeup was always on point. And she had absolutely this beautiful coin that I'm telling you guys about. And for some reason, I'm leaning towards the fact that I think she was English, but I don't know. Kind of blondish hair, but maybe with highlights. So I'm not sure who Lori is. If I saw a picture of her, I would definitely know that it was her. But yeah, I used to admire her. So, I mean, she just looked beautiful to me as a kid. I don't know. So Amelia says, Mrs. Geiger is one of my favorite. Loved their fruit baskets. They had fruit baskets like on the plane to give you. Now, listen, this was back in the day when we actually got like a proper plate of food, right? Wasn't that amazing? When you got like a little tray with like food and stuff. And it was like, oh my God. Even from Miami, definitely from Tampa. I remember traveling from Tampa. You'd get like a little food plate. And that was pretty cool. And then I think it was because of H1N1 why they stopped serving food too, right? Because that changed. That was we hardly remember that now. 2009 seems like a long time away. But that changed a lot in the airline industry and just around the world. So no more blankets, no more pillows. And I kind of want to say that the food trays, like the food, was connected to that situation as well. Or was it? And then would we still get a little muffin or something? And then over the years, that kind of disappeared. I can't remember. So Miss Sue says, yes, that might have been Lori. Okay. And Miss Judy always made sure her staff were immaculate. I don't know who Miss Judy is, but they used to look beautiful back in the day. And so someone said that the only Sir Turtle has never had a different name. So someone says, yes, Lori is an amazing woman. Her mom is Caymanian and she has Cayman Brat connections. So I'd love to see a picture of her. Is she still here? Interesting. Well, someone says she's American Cayman, unless there's another one that I can't recall. Maybe it was her, but she was very tall. Yes, I remember her being very tall as well. There was Susan. Yes, Susan McField was there at the counter. I'm not sure who Sylvia was, but definitely Susan McField was at the counter for many, many years. So Miss Brenda says the competition was to name the planes, not the turtle, as far as I can remember. So someone said the turtle has always had the same name. And I don't know how they came up with Sir Turtle, but did they have a mascot competition? Kayleen says that Susan McField went out of her way at the Miami counter. She was a star. And it makes such a difference, I must tell you, when you come up to the counter. I always felt this way, traveling, even after I'd returned home. I would always go to the Caymanians working at the Miami counter. No insult to anybody else, because sometimes I wouldn't get them. Sometimes they'd be like, oh, Miss Sandra, come over here. And that's my little Spanish friend. And she was super nice and everything. But I always just, you've been away for like a week or something. You're returning home. Your first point of connection back home is like, there's a Caymanian. There's been a couple of times when I've been away for like extended periods of time. And literally when I got back to Cayman, I wanted to kiss the ground. This was after I moved back, of course. I was like, oh, thank God I'm back home. Do you guys not just love Cayman? I mean, it's just a sense of pride. And seeing someone at that ticket counter who is a Caymanian just really would warm my heart. So yes, I'm always about Caymanians because we're such a small community as it is, really, really representing. Even before I moved back to the States, there was a couple of times that I ran into Caymanians at USF, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen a Caymanian in 20 years. Because listen, back in the day in Tampa, let me tell you, back in the 80s, I would say, people say, oh, you've got an interesting accent. Where are you from? All the kids made fun of it. They couldn't understand a word that I was saying when I moved to the US. They would ask me if I was speaking a foreign language. And I'm like, what? I'm speaking English. What the hell? What are you talking about? And they're like, we don't understand what you're saying. What language is this? And I'm like, okay. So of course, over the years, you grow up and you kind of streamline it and it becomes very, very Americanized, right? But when I got to university, that was the first time that I started to see, because there was no Caymanians like in my definitely not in elementary school, middle school, even high school. I had a high school of like thousands of people graduated in my year. I think we had like 3,000 people. No Caymanians there. And as a matter of fact, can I just tell you something? Let me show you guys something. We're going to do a throwback moment today. So the other day I signed up for Ancestor.com. From last year, December, I've had 2 ancestry kits. Now, I told my husband, we are going to do our ancestry stuff. His will be very, very obvious that his people probably 3 generations ago, maybe 2, came straight from India. But I'm curious, like, where exactly and that sort of thing. So let me show you guys some pictures. You're not going to believe, we're going to have a throwback moment here. You're not even going to believe this, right? So I went on Ancestry.com and I started playing around with it. And I searched for myself. That's the first thing you do. And guess what I found? Look at this. My yearbook photo. Can you believe it? Who is that? Okay, can anybody see? It's kind of obvious, I think, which one I am. But can anybody pick me out? Where am I? Crab claws? Girl, I've never had crab claws on a plane. What? Those were the luxury days before I even started flying, because I know nothing about that. Crab claws on a plane. All right, look at this picture. Can anybody, I'm going to take the writing off here. Can anybody pick me out here? It's kind of obvious because there's not too many women of color in this picture. But this is my yearbook photo. And that's me in the bottom with the little green box around it. That's me in the bottom left. Oh my God, I had so much hair. It was crazy. My aunt used to have to do my hair for me, child, because it was a lot. It was like out of this world. So even when I see my daughter now with a full head of hair, I kind of know everybody assumes that she gets it from her dad, but child, I'm like, if they only knew what I had to struggle with. I was happy when it became more manageable because at this time I had completely natural hair. And then as I started processing it, it kind of just, thinned out, maybe with age and stuff too, right? But thank God, because that was the only way I could even pull it back in one. Like this was way too much for me. Now let me show you another picture. You guys are not going to believe this. So that's me in high school. That's my high school yearbook. And then I even forgot. I mean, Ancestry.com is amazing. Look at where they caught me. This was me in the Spanish Honor Society. I didn't even remember being in the Spanish Honor Society. I was that good with Spanish? Yes, child, back in high school. And does anybody see me? I'm in the second row, the second one from the left. I had my hair pulled back in one. I used to part it down the middle a lot. That was like my go-to signature look. But that was me in the Spanish Honor Society. Yep. I look at this and I think, was there a lot of diversity in my school? Because I only see like one other young lady there of color in that group. And then that's it. 2 Asian people, I think. Maybe 3. There's one in the back row as well. But you know what? I got to tell you the truth. I was a total nerd. I'll own it. And so, my school friends would have been people in my classes and stuff. And I was in like advanced placement classes, AP classes, which gave you college credit. And so I was part of the nerdy group of people. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but there was not a whole lot of diversity in the nerdy groups. There was one young lady, I don't think she was in this group. She was in Spanish Honor Society, but she was in some of my other classes, and she had such an amazing voice. I've always wondered what she went on to do, because she used to be like in their version of Glee, where she was always singing and that sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, these are some throwback photos that I found on Ancestry.com the other day. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, yearbook. Like I don't even know where my yearbook is. I know I don't have it anymore. Like it's been lost for many, many years. So that was interesting to kind of have a throwback moment. Carol says, have you ever been on a flight where it lands in Jamaica and hear the applause the passengers make? Sometimes they do that here as well. When it comes here, people get very, very excited. Okay, let me see. Somebody's sending me some pictures of Lori. So people are enjoying this conversation. Lori's mother. Oh, Mr. Dick Arch, you were so amazing. Can I come and see you soon? We need to do another interview. Him and Mr. Bernard Watler. Oh my God, so many treasures in Cayman. We need to pick back up our conversations with segments. Oh my God, there's so many people that I want to interview. It's just like, there's only 24 hours in a day, so some days are just full. But Mr. Dick Arch says Lori's mother was from the Jackson family in Savannah. The first KX logo was the Cayman crest and was afterwards changed to the headless lion. Wow, he remembers so. Listen, he is sharp. Someone also says Odette worked at the counter in Miami. Odette. Do I remember an Odette? Yes, that's Lori. Oh my gosh, there she is. Hold on, we got some pictures, and this is her. This is absolutely her. Oh, she's so pretty. Oh, somebody actually dug up an old Cayman Airways picture. Hold on a second now. Oh, this is a trip down memory lane. Let me pull these up. Does she still live here, or she looks like she loves to travel, which would make sense. Yeah, she was always so beautiful. Does she still work? Is that still her? She must still work at Cayman Airways. Why have I not seen her recently? I feel like my memories attached to her are from way back when. Someone says, hey, Sandra, Lori is still here for Cayman Airways. Beautiful lady. She's married to one of our directors. Yes, that is so weird that oh, she has longer hair in this picture. Okay. All right, let's have a look at Lori. Yes, this is exactly who I was thinking of. How long has she worked for? She's been there forever then. I'm telling you, she has worked for Cayman Airways forever. So I remember her. This would have been late 80s, early 90s. Definitely before I moved back. So this is Lori. That's her in the front on the left. And I feel like, though, I remember her with even shorter hair than this. I feel like she had I feel like she's had a cut that was like on the nape of her neck. Like here, she has shoulder length hair. I feel like I remember for some reason, like a different look for her. So maybe it was just that period of time. But there's some Cayman Airways stewardess there. Somebody says, girl, you've just not flown in a while. Yeah, that's true too. Yes, that's her. And then apparently she's married to, what did somebody just tell me? She's married to somebody named Alistair, who's a director or something. Who just told me that? So someone says she still works there, I believe. She's a chief flight attendant and she does check rides, and she's been at Cayman Airways before I was alive. So definitely more than 35 years. And she did have short hair for a time. Oh, okay. Very, very interesting. Wow. So she's married to one of the directors at Cayman Airways? Alistair or somebody? Thank you guys so much for giving me that information. Alistair Robertson, yes. Someone said she's an amazing person. Oh no, they say he's a director at civil aviation. Okay. Wow. Yes, I don't know what it was about her, but I just remember her really standing out for me on those early flights. I kind of remembered a lot about, right? Here she is. Obviously, this is a more current photo. So let me tell you a little bit about Caymanians that I met when I was in university. Peter's here. Peter, I'm going to tell her a story of how we met back in the day. So I distinctly remember 2 Caymanians that I met in university. One is Cassandra Powell. And I'll tell you, Cassandra actually met after Peter, right? So I met Peter when I was on campus, and Peter used to date a young lady from, I think she was from India. My boyfriend was from Sri Lanka. And so they would have went to like the Indian Association, whatever thing that they had in university. And then, like they have a Caribbean club and whatever. And so there was a party, like one of their socials, and we were there, supporting our boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And I saw Peter and we started talking. I'm like, "You're from the Cayman Islands?" And he's like, "Yes, my name is Peter Campbell." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know who you are, Peter Campbell, but I'm just so tickled pink to meet somebody from the Cayman Islands." Because even back then, this would have been the early 90s, it was hard to find people. I'm telling you, in the 80s, when I moved to Tampa, and I would say the Cayman Islands, people were like, "Is that Jamaica or the Bahamas?" And I'm like, "What? The Cayman Islands. Don't you know the Cayman Islands?" And they're like, "Is it the Bahamas?" I was like, "Oh, you Americans. Like the world is, the Caribbean is Jamaica. That's all they know. Yeah, man, smoke a spliff, and that's it. And the Bahamas, because it's right next door to them, and that's where they would go for holidays, right?" And they didn't know very much about the Cayman Islands at the time. And then after Cayman Airways, you know who really put Cayman on the map in Tampa is when Cayman Airways started flying there direct. And I remember this because my aunt was so excited the Cayman Airways was flying. So, I made a few trips back home then, because otherwise we'd have to go through Miami, and you'd have to like drive to Miami or go on the train and get to Miami. So when it started flying direct, they used to do a lot of commercials on TV. Remember that commercial, "Those who know us love us," that little jingle? Oh my God. That commercial used to drive me crazy. Because after that, every time I would say, "Oh, I'm from the Cayman Islands," they're like, "Oh, I can't sing, but they'd start singing that jingle. And "Those who know us love us." I think that was the name of it. Let me see if I can find it in case you don't remember. And so, yes, I was just like, "Oh, yeah, please don't sing that song." After a while, it became so annoying. And but then they kind of knew. And then, of course, after that, it was like, "Oh, the Cayman Islands, you guys launder money and did it." I'm like, "Really?" But yeah, so a lot of people didn't know. So Peter was like the first Caymanian that I actually remember meeting, outside of like, my aunt and whatever. And she had a few friends like Miss Jan. Now, let me tell you something. She was actually friends, my aunt, although she lived most of her life in the US, she would have known like Miss Sheila, because Sheila, which was Jeff Webb's. What was Miss Sheila's last name? Oh God, Sheila, Miss Sheila had the restaurant and stuff. So I think her and her sister Jan, I think they lived part-time in Tampa, but they were always in Tampa. So my aunt knew them. And so sometimes she would like meet up with them and whatever, right? But like Sheila Thompson, thank you so much. So I didn't really know like any Caymanians really, but she knew them. And who else would have been in Tampa at the time that she might have known? I kind of feel like it was just them. So sometimes when they travel back home and they'd come to Tampa, they'd bring her certain things that she liked, Milo, that she couldn't get and whatever, as easy in the States at the time. And sometimes they'd bring her like, she was like anything like a breadfruit that she could like roast or whatever, lobster. She was like, and it was so funny sometimes listening to my aunt because she had a very, very American accent, very American accent. And she'd be like, "Can you not get me some lobster?" But she kind of had an American accent with a Southern drawl, which I'm not really sure where she got that from, although I guess Florida is technically the South, but most people in Florida don't really have a Southern drawl. But she kind of had this, like she would draw out her words a little bit. "You got any lobster?" And I'd be like, "Oh, Aunt Lottie, you're so funny." So, and I kept telling her, I'm like, not everybody in Cayman eats lobster 24/7, by the way. This is, I don't know as an American what you're thinking, but so Miss Sheila, but then Peter Campbell was the first one I met at university. It was from Cayman. And then years later, I had my first dog as an adult. His name was Oscar. And he was a puppy at the time. And I was living in some apartment complex. I can almost visualize it. And something happened. Oscar got outside and he got, I think he got like under the car, but I was like walking him. Right. And so then Cassandra came out and she was like helping me to get him back. And she said something like, hi, whatever. And I was like, oh, you're from the Cayman Islands? And she's like, how do you know? And I was like, girl, please. That is the most unique accent in the world. I'm like, Caymanians cannot hide. Like, oh my God. It used to make my heart jump. Like literally when I heard Cassandra speak, I was just like, you are a Caymanian. Let me get on my knees and just kiss your feet. Like it was so unusual to still meet and hear and speak to Caymanian. This would have been before she was like Miss Cayman and everything. But yeah, it was so unusual, even in those days, to still see and hear Caymanian. And then over the years, more and more Caymanians started to go to USF because I felt like at that time, the only place in Tampa that Caymanians knew was the University of Tampa. I swear to you. Before I decided on USF, I went to the University of Tampa for a tour because I wanted to stay in-state to try to keep tuition down and whatever. And so, the original plan was I was going to stay home and whatever. So I said, okay, I'll pick something in Tampa, right? So we had UT and USF. Those were the big ones. And so I went to UT for a tour. Beautiful campus, very historical, and all the domes and whatever they call them. I love that area of Tampa as well. It's very close to downtown Tampa. It's close to the water, really, really nice area. And so I remember them rolling out the red carpet for me when they heard that I was originally from the Cayman Islands. But at that point, I'd lived in the US for like over 10 years. So when I went there and they're like, oh, and we have a wing for Caymanians. And I was like, a wing of what? I was like, what? You have a wing? What's a wing? And they're like, oh, yes, we have like a whole dorm wing for Caymanian students. And I thought it was so weird. I'm like, why would you do that? Like Caymanians are coming to USF and then they want to stay on a dorm wing with other Caymanians. Like, don't you want to go out there and explore the world and like meet people not from the Cayman Islands? Like it was a little bit weird for me when they were like, oh, you can join the Caymanian wing. And I said, the truth be told, I've not lived in the Cayman Islands since I was like 8 years old. So I probably wouldn't know any of these people. And I said, no, I'm good with trying to, for me, university was about broadening my experiences, right? Which I guess maybe that would have broadened it because I didn't really know any Caymanians anyway. But I was like, I don't know. And then I said to them, I said, by the way, because then as they were talking to me, I realized that why they rolled out the red carpet for Caymanian students is that they all came on government scholarships or some form of scholarship. And they had this reputation of, oh, the Caymanians have money. And I was like, oh, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm just a poor little college student who'll be working full time and going to school full time and trying to make ends meet. I'll be eating pizza and some days probably won't even have that to eat. So this school is a little bit too hoity-toity for me. And the tuition was also hoity-toity. So I couldn't afford UT, child. And I didn't have the benefit. It didn't even occur to me that I probably could have applied for a government scholarship. I was like, nah. So I went to USF. And I think USF, because it's such a bigger campus as well, you have, my opinion, was we had a lot more diversity at USF. So yes, a big shout out to Peter. I met Peter there. I met Cassandra. And then as the years went on, people started going to like Hillsborough Community College. So I heard of a couple of Caymanians going there. And then people started coming to USF. So I'll tell you which brothers came to USF. Johan, if you're listening, you got to help me out here because I think they're related to Johan. I think these are your cousins. Byron and Jacob, I think are cousins to Johan. And I remember when they came to USF, only because I actually showed them their apartment that they ended up renting, because I was like the like little leasing agent or whatever. That was one of my part-time jobs when I worked at USF. So the name of the apartment complex, I'll never forget it. It was called the Excellence, and it was a brand new complex, like just built. And the developer and owner was a guy from Colombia. He was a Colombian Jewish guy, which I didn't even know this, but apparently Colombia has a whole community of Jewish people in Colombia, and they maintain all of their Jewish traditions, just that they're Colombian. So they're not Catholic, they're Jews. And he was very, very interesting. It was him and his sister that were like the primary owners of this property. Yes, Byron and is it Baron or Byron? Baron and Troy Jacob. But I remember showing them that apartment, and that's the one that they ended up getting. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So Clint, good morning to you. He says the most famous Cayman Airways flight attendant is West Bay Miss Danita, and probably employee as a whole. Who is Miss Danita? Do we have a photo of her? So Brenda says that Jan was married to an American and lived in Tampa, and Sheila would visit her there. Oh, that's why she was there. See, I never even knew that. I just knew that they were there a lot. Like I always felt like they were there a lot. And then I remember when Miss Sheila passed away, I think I was either still in Tampa or I was sort of moving back. I might have still been in Tampa, but it was like transitioning to moving back. And I remember when she passed away, it was such a shock. My aunt was just like devastated because they were like, really good friends. Oh, yes. And I cannot forget my aunt's best friend. And I'm sure she is still alive to this day. She must be almost 100 years old. But Miss Margaret, I don't even know Miss Margaret's last name. But you know who would know Miss Margaret? Attorney, what's his name now? Oh, gosh. All right. Help me out here now. Y'all got to help me out. And I feel like Miss Margaret is related to Jan. Could she be Jan's aunt or something? But all right, Oren Marin. A couple years ago, this is really weird. I found out that Miss Margaret like sort of raised him or something. I don't know if they're actually family or not, but they have a very close connection. And he was telling me that he showed me some pictures. They had like a birthday party for him. I was like, wow. So her and my aunt, Lottie, were actually best friends. And my aunt didn't really come back to Cayman as often, but normally during the summers, Miss Margaret would come and visit and stay with my aunt. And so that's how I knew Miss Margaret. And then like the one summer that I came, I hung out, because Miss Margaret lived on Boilers Road, which is right where my people are from, my dad and all that. We're Georgetowners. He's right from there as well. So I'm trying to remember what Miss Margaret. Does anybody know Miss Margaret? Okay, Mr. Dickart, he's our he's our resident genealogist, and he says that, what? Are you kidding me? I didn't know that. He says, truer than fiction, the schooner Goldfield really put Cayman on the scene in Tampa. What's the schooner Goldfield? I don't even know anything about that. Oh, we need to sit down and talk. All right. So Sheila Thompson was Lottie's cousin. She was? Wait a minute. Really? I thought they were just good friends. So that means that I'm related to the Thompsons as well. Which Thompsons? So that means that Jeff Webb and I would be some kind of distant cousins. Probably, I don't know how close Sheila and Lottie were cousins. Was that first cousins, second cousins? So that means that Jeff and I are probably cousins too. Oh my gosh. You see how Cayman is? Margaret McLean. She was a McLean. And was she cousins with Aunt Lottie as well? But they were best friends up until the day, I think, that thank you so much. Somebody else said, yes, might be Miss Margaret McLean. Well, apparently so. Mr. Bernard is listening to the show. He said it's Margaret McLean. So she was very, very good friends with my aunt. I mean, all the time, they would always run up these phone bills talking to each other. And Oh, yes. Somebody just sent me Denise. Yes. Okay. Oh, wow. This is like a trip down a little bit of history today. That is so interesting. Oh, that's her. She just recently had surgery. Oh, I didn't even. Ah, she's been Cayman Airways a really long time. Yes. Um. Hmm. So someone said the official motto for Cayman Airways is still "Those who fly us, those who fly us love us." Yeah. So that is so interesting. Miss Margaret McLean. Now, Miss Margaret, she's got to be, like I said, close to like 100. And I think she's still very much alive. I saw her some years back. I don't know what Goldfield is. What is Goldfield? Nope. I have no clue. Ooh, we need to have a conversation here, folks. So Miss Margaret raised her niece Amanda. Now, Amanda was a little bit younger than me. I don't know how much younger. But child, Amanda always used to be getting me in trouble. Because listen, Amanda was cute. Very, very cute as a little girl. And she used to use her cuteness on these old people. But my aunt, she was a tough cookie. So nothing got by her. She was so strict. OMG. There were days when I would just be like, can't you just let me do something? Like I want to go somewhere and I want to do something. Just let me be free. And she was like, oh, no, 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 no. She was so strict. And she always used to be so fearful of like something happening to me. I think part of it was because I wasn't her child. Like she always felt a sense of responsibility. Like, oh, if Sandra goes and drowns, I have to call my brother and say, oops, Sandra drowned. And your daughter, your youngest is now dead. Or, she always like was super paranoid. And she was a little bit of hypochondriac as well. And so she always pushed her insecurities on me as a child, I felt like. So child, the second I was 18, I'm like, I'm out of here. I've had enough of this. I need to live my life. And so, yes. But when Amanda came visiting in the summers, child, Amanda was always up to something. She was trouble from very, very young. And I'll never forget, there were a couple times that Amanda would like do stuff. And I'd be like, Aunt Lottie, you wouldn't let me get away with this. She's like, well, Amanda's not my child. I mean, I'm not here to raise Amanda. That's Aunt Margaret's business. And I was just like, And then she would do stuff and she was so cute with it. Like she'd give them this little smile. And I was like, oh, Amanda, you were so bad. And then everything was fine when she smiled at him. I'm like, I need to master the smile of Amanda. Like, how do you do this? But she, honey child, I don't even know what to tell you about that situation. I remember one time we were in a mall and Amanda was like these guys, because, she was allowed to like wear like little makeup and whatever. And you didn't come around Aunt Lottie with that foolishness. No makeup, no this, no that. She's like, when you turn 18 or you out of my house, you can do whatever you want then. But until then, we have some rules around here. So certain clothes you can wear, certain things you can do. No boyfriends, no nothing. It was a very strict environment. So when Amanda came now, I'm like, oh, well, Amanda gets to do this. Aunt Lottie's like, I don't care what Amanda's doing. That has nothing to do with you. So one day we were in the mall and there were these guys who were like, probably, I want to say that I don't think that I was in high school yet, but I was close to being in high school. And Amanda, like I said, I think Amanda is probably a couple years younger. And so Amanda started to do something or another. And these guys were like, oh, can I get your phone number? And she's trying to give up my aunt's phone number. I said, Amanda, I swear to God, I'm going to slap you if you give up my aunt's phone number. This is before cell phones. Nobody had any cell phones, right? So Amanda was like, yes, it's 813. Do you know I still remember my childhood phone number? I don't even think it's their number anymore, but I still remember the phone number. It was 813-248-8077. I don't even know how I remember that, but that was so ingrained in my head. It's like your social security number. You never forget it, right? So Amanda starts like, And then she starts asking me because she couldn't remember the rest of the number. She's like, what's the phone number? I was like, Amanda, you can't have a man call on my aunt's house. Are you crazy? I said, first of all, they're probably going to kidnap you or something crazy because, you know, you were fearful of this kind of stuff in the US. And I said, secondly, anybody who calls my aunt's house asking for some teenager, she's going to think it's me. And I'm the one who's going to get the ass whooping, not you. So I'm like, no, you are not going to get my aunt's number. Ooh, child. Oh, I haven't seen Amanda in years, but she used to. And then she would. My aunt had a dog named Prince, right? And so Prince, you had to hand feed him because he was in an accident when he was younger. And then he just got used to being hand fed. So, but he wasn't supposed to get table food. Oh, look at this photo album. Oh my gosh, I gotta have a look at this. This is the schooner. Are you kidding me? Wow. So, yeah, so Prince, let me see if I can save it. It's a little image. So sometimes, although I wasn't supposed to, I'd be feeding Prince like under the table, especially with something I didn't really want to eat. And so Amanda would always tattletale on me, honey child. Amanda would say, Miss Lottie. I think she called her Aunt Lottie. She's like, Aunt Lottie, Sandra's feeding Prince again. Oh my God. I would be like, Amanda, I'm going to beat you up after dinner. We had a very interesting relationship. And then I remember when Amanda got the chicken pox. Oh, this is amazing. So the Cayman schooner Goldfield in a Gasparilla parade in Tampa. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Wow. Wow. This is really a trip down memory lane this morning. Oh, Mr. Bernard, Mr. Dick, I feel like I need to talk to you guys. This is making me so nostalgic. Yeah, I've never even heard of the Goldfield. I don't know anything about this. But look here, we got some pictures. So this was a schooner that traveled where? From Cayman to Tampa? Really? So here's this one's kind of on the side, but here it is. Is this out of a book? I need to see this book. This says the Goldfield. And are you telling me that actually traveled from here to the US? Child, that looked like that could barely make it to the BRAC, but that speaks a lot about our heritage and the making of such vehicles, such vessels, I should say. Philip says there's actually a song about the Goldfield by Dexter Bodden. Really? Huh. Yes, Miss Brenda confirms that as well. Look it up. Anybody has a number for Dexter? Isn't he still around? Wasn't he just singing recently at I think I saw him oh gosh, now that's been a couple years. The time is just flying by, y'all. I don't know what to say. But thank you for sharing that. I would love to see that book because that looks very, very interesting. And then this is who Clint was talking about in terms of Cayman Airways staff. Now I look at this picture and I didn't recognize her in this picture until I saw this one. And then I'm like, oh, yes. Yes, beautiful. And, you know, she recently had surgery in Miami. So I hope that she's doing a lot better. Thank you guys for sharing these photos. This is amazing. Wow. Truly amazing. So, Cayman Airways is one of Tampa Airport's longest serving international airlines. 30 years. Well, I remember when they first started flying to Tampa. That is so amazing. Wow. And someone said that the schooner used to go to Jamaica as well. Huh. All right, folks. The Department of Vehicle Licensing is back open again. This is the Crew Road location. So they had temporarily closed yesterday for some COVID sanitation because they had a positive COVID there. Wow. What a rich history with Cayman Airways. I feel like we need to do a Cayman Airways show. Speaking of history, folks.
I can see the willows waving on your southern shore as the breeze gently whispers through the trees. And the song I hear you singing flows across the distant shores, and it seems to say, my child, come back to me.
Come back home to your islands, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. Come back home to your islands, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Grand Cayman. I can smell the salty air upon your harbor as the northwest winds blow across your sea, and I can see the foaming white caps as they break against your shores. Like a distant drum, I hear them call to me. Come back home to your islands, for I long to see you walk upon my sand. For my shores, they belong to my children, and my children belong to Cayman Brac. Come back home to your islands, for I long to see you walk.
All right, folks. So the Cayman Islands National Cultural Foundation puts on a lot of wonderful productions, and this is one that's coming up. Please do not miss that. Big shout out to the census team. Do you guys know the census is in town? Oh, yeah.
Beginning the 10th of October, residents across the Cayman Islands will be invited to participate in the 2021 census. What is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the Cayman Islands. The population count and data are protected and authorized by the Statistics Act. The information is confidential and cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Your response helps guide business, social, and economic planning for the future of our islands. The 2021 census will inform decisions on how millions of dollars are allocated for roads, schools, hospitals and healthcare clinics, fire, emergency response services, and other programs. Census enumerators will visit your household, ask a few questions like how many people live in your house, including their age and sex. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So have your say in the 2021 census.
Amazing. Miss Joy says that she's trying to get home. Wanda says this absolutely makes me homesick. Trust me, girl, I know the feeling. I remember growing up a lot of times being homesick, especially for mangoes and sauce. When I finally came back home, every mango season, I would get the worst belly ache because I would overdo it. I'd be like, I haven't had mangoes in 15 years. Give me all the turned mangoes in the world. I would go raiding people's trees. I always try to ask permission. And, sitting down, eating it with vinegar, salt, and pepper. Even my dogs started to eat turned mango. That's how bad it was. They'd see me eating it and licking my lips. They're like, this must be pretty good. Tommy says, turning back the times. Sandy, wow, awesome. I love it. So Philip says that she was supposed to be restored, but was abandoned and left to sink in the Governor's Sound, I think, in the 1980s. Wow, really? So someone also mentioned that there is a school. So someone's going to get me a copy of this. That was in the Seafarers calendar from 2012. Need to see if I can get a copy of that. Do they have extra calendars around? But someone said that there's actually one of the schools, like the houses or whatever, is named after the Goldfield. Wow. Didn't know. Sherry Ann says when there were no doctors to deliver babies, the boat would take them across to Jamaica to deliver babies. Really? What? This is so crazy. We definitely need to get some some history lessons on this show for my benefit. And she says, my uncle, Tony Archibald, was born in Jamaica. Well, you know, a lot of Caymanians are born in Jamaica, especially if they might have been high-risk pregnancies. So very, very interesting. Don't forget, folks, COVID Spotlight Series is on tonight at 7 p.m. with Kevin Watler. You do not want to miss this one. It's an absolutely fantastic lineup. He's got some heavy hitters coming on the program tonight, including the director of Florida's, oh gosh, I'm sure I'm going to get this completely wrong, but it's the director of Florida's like entire health system. And they're going to be talking about what we need to do. Again, you don't want to miss this, to prepare our businesses and homes for COVID. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be a fantastic show. There it is. So living with COVID, tips for families and businesses every Tuesday. Well, Tuesdays and Thursdays this evening. This is the lineup for you. Again, some heavy hitters, public health preparedness planner and the public health preparedness director for Florida. So please tune in today, show some love. And this is all wonderful information. Louise says, love the show today. Cayman history is so alive. Absolutely love it. Ms. Brenda says yes at Clifton Hunter High School. Miss Joy says, hi, dear Sandra. You're not helping with the mangoes. I know. Homesickness can be a thing. Trust me. Oh, yes, 9 o'clock. Somebody's reminding me to go to court, child. I don't want to be late because you know Judge Ramsey. And it always takes 20 minutes just to find parking. So, folks, thank you so much. She's in Salt Creek, says Stuart. Oh. Thank you guys so much. Mr. Arch and Mr. Bernard, will you guys call me? Maybe we could do an interview for later on this week. The week is early yet. I think that we need to, oh my gosh, people love all historical things, Cayman, for sure. And we need to do more of those interviews to get them on record. So give me a call. I'm going to jettison off to court. I'll let you guys know what's going on at court. The Tortuga robbery case is back on as well. We don't want to say much about that, child. Let's wait until the verdict is in. But big shout out to Miracle Brokers and Reliable Industries for supporting so much of what we do here on CMR. Thank you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Ho, ho, ho! It's the time of year again. Christmas is right around the corner, and you do not want to delay. Because of COVID-19, there are numerous logistics delays expected. Give yourself the gift of a true Christmas miracle by planning ahead with Miracle Brokers. Whether you're moving halfway around the world or ordering a new car for your loved one, contact Miracle today at 949-5989.